like to welcome Dr. Sultan Al-Salem. He has a PhD in chemical engineering from Kuwait University College London. He's a research scientist at the Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research and has been working on CCSU and off-gas management as a part of his research for the past 10 years. Dr. Sultan, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Shawaf, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Netherlands, President of Kuwait University, all colleagues, distinguished guests, thank you very much for attending today. I have the mammoth task of starting off and kicking off proceedings today, and I'm very much so self-conscious of the time. I have to be very precise with the timing, but nonetheless, there's a number of information that I would like to present to you today. Well, I believe that energy security is a very much so a topic that needs to be addressed, especially in Kuwait, and we can't do that without tying it to sustainable energy on one part, on the second part as well, having a global and tailored approach that would sit into each country's energy mix. So definitely the definition that I subscribe to is energy security, going for the IEA definition, which is uninterrupted availability of energy sources at an affordable price, which stands for 4 major pillars: availability, accessibility, acceptability, and affordability. This cannot be achieved without having a sustainable, tailored approach, as I said, that would sit on each country's energy mix. And there's a number of global efforts worldwide that have been quite recognized nowadays, all tied to decarbonization. So there is one hand of environmental pollution control, on the other hand, there is a sustainable energy production also approach. So we can see clearly, for example, when it comes to United States and the EU and Japan, milestones reaching between 6 to 10% of global GHGs emission reduction in the past few years. This reduction should be counted for something. It is true, not going to the direction that we're hoping for on global scheme. However, in terms of decarbonization, there is groundwork that's already being conducted and should be accounted for. When it comes to local efforts, and when I say local, Kuwait including the GCC area, even Western Asia, we can't cross the 0.15% of the renewable mix. This counts for a lot, and these efforts should be streamed and mainstreamed and aligned together. It is also well understood that a tailored approach for the energy transition pathways to decarbonization should take place. There's a number of parameters that you should consider, whether they're geopolitical, energy mix of each region, each country as well. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that each of the GCC countries has its own commitments towards the COP, which is coming very closely so. And one thing if you would like to take from this map is that each country at the moment in the GCC is trying to streamline its efforts together. We have in Kuwait an updated new Kuwait roadmap for sustainable energy that's stretching all the way to 2040 at the moment. And our commitment is 15% of electricity generation by 2030. This number is being revised by His Excellency, the Minister of Oil at the moment. And other commitments around the area as well, including GCC and West Asia, are very much so similar, but the best that you can take as a good prime example is, of course, the UAE, which is net zero from all heavy industries by 2050. And as I've mentioned clearly, there is a huge boost in renewables in the GCC. Saudi Arabia is committed to go more than 10-fold by the year 2030. So by fold, Saudi Arabia, UAE could be considered as prime examples. And it all ties down really to hydrogen. And this surge map, you can see in literature nowadays, shows you what is the boom that you're expecting at the moment with hydrogen, whether it is in different technologies, hydrogen in production, hydrogen in sustainable fuels, so on and so forth. Why hydrogen makes it so interesting at the moment? It is a clean fuel, it's a carrier. Dr. Mohammed Shawaf mentioned it is also a main utility for downstream industries. It's also abundantly available. It could be very much so expensive to consider also when it comes to the different spectrum. But one thing that we'd like to focus on at the moment is not just the blue or the green end of the spectrum of hydrogen, but in fact, turquoise hydrogen, which is what I'll focus on in the roadmap that I will show in a moment. Definitely it comes from all sorts of renewable sources that we can utilize, especially here in the state of Kuwait. This is a recently published figure of ours in one of our papers, and you can see, as Dr. Mohammed Shawaf mentioned clearly, all the way to the zero carbon emissions where it is typically associated with green. Turquoise is considered to be midstream, but in fact, carbon residues are all solidified and sold as a byproduct, which is very profitable either for pigments, pavements, civil engineering applications, so on and so forth. And this is the map I was considering telling you about earlier on. The GCC area has all gone through all the spectrum, but there's one dark space which gives us plenty of room to work on, especially from R&D all the way to industry, which is the state of Kuwait at the moment, but going all the way to pink hydrogen from the nuclear plant of UAE Dubai Co. So you can see everything is going in one mainstream, streamlined direction at the GCC, which gives us once more a plenty of room and that we can utilize here in the state of Kuwait. Hydrogen is also becoming very much so trendy in terms of innovation. It comes as the main hit in the recent Global Innovation Index, where our friends and collaborators from the Netherlands sit at number 7 globally, which is a very prestigious place. They never dropped from the first top 10. And not only that, but the recent McKinsey report that was distributed shows that all the investment up to the year 2040 is all dedicated to hydrogen as a carrier in downstream industries as well. So it is becoming more and more trendy and very much so part of our main roadmap. So why turquoise hydrogen and why hydrogen in specific here in Kuwait? Other than the fact that there is a number of gaps that we can address in R&D up to industry, there is one main thing we need to focus on is off-gas management, which is part of projects that we have conducted in the past within the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. This off-gas management could benefit mainly from downstream industry parts, industries using carbon, and definitely CCSU plants of the state of Kuwait. And with that, I would like to thank you once again, and thank you very much for attending today, and hope to have a very fruitful proceeding for the rest of the day. Thank you.
If there are any questions for Dr. Sultan,
Electrodialysis.
Electrodialysis.
I'm just, removing items from one compartment to another compartment. As I'm doing this, gas is being generated through the process, and one of which is H2. So I was wondering, where do I categorize this? Like a little green, because I haven't seen it being green. I mean, it's not like from European or from wastewater, the sludge from wastewater or something. So, yeah, if you go back, this.
I'll show it to you. Is that your question?
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for that, Doctor. Definitely falls under technologies of green. It definitely falls under renewables. And you can see it clearly, estimated, and I reiterate, estimated. These numbers are being updated on the week. And this presentation, these numbers are somewhat a month old or so. And even the map that I showed you for the literature survey, this is updated on the week. It's such a trendy boom. Nonetheless, I hope you got your answer, Doctor.
Yeah, I missed that. So.
That's absolutely fine. I don't blame you. I was too quick, too fast. I have 10 minutes and if I am late, I'll delay lunch, so that's not good.
But is it like green? Is it
Green, yes. Also PME, PMF, electrolysis, all dioxide, they're all considered part of the green spectrum.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Ahmed. My question is, what is the opportunities for hydrogen production in Kuwait?
Plenty of opportunities, whether it is from gasifying, thermally cracking solid waste, which is my area in particular, all the way to off gases, which is a form of waste, but in the gaseous physical form, which is typically associated with hydrocarbon-rich streams in downstream industry. This is our friends in KMPC that would utilize it and benefit from it, which is part of our current project in turquoise hydrogen. Finally, last but certainly not least, to modify your carbon plant for Kuwait 2040, which is the modified new Kuwait plant. We need to start somewhere in the spectrum, and definitely carbon capture would be one way. We had also one, well, not one, three major projects in Kisr. I was honored to lead those, and they're all in CCSU. And we have good also geoformations for storage. We need to explore that more and more, so at least we can diversify that. That goes also in the spectrum of hydrogen.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan. Thank you very much for your presentation.